So, we are privileged today to have Huge communicating to us. Now, apparently there's more than one. So there's the Huge big group on the stock exchange, the listed group, whereas this is more another group. And I got to know this group in 2016 when they started here together with us at the Community Chamber of Commerce in Fourways at that stage, and then Mark McClue basically helping to move the group forward, and went through some tragic when one of their leaders, Viv Brown, died also in a botched robbery many years ago. But I'm happy to see that the group now is getting traction and doing all sorts of interesting work. And then with Mark being right now busy with some project moving from Chartwell, South Africa to Chartwell, England, and all that kind of things. They now also a GIG, a registered legal entity. And with Lisa, I've got regular contact because we stay on the same property. So I've asked Lisa and Bev. Bev, I don't know if you can hear us and connect yet, but I've asked Lisa then to just tell us more about Huge and what you're busy doing and what's the heart of Huge. So I'll manage it this side, but I think over to you, Lisa, and tell us about Huge. And then if you need me to switch slides, I'll switch slides.
Thank you so much, Jasper, and I really appreciate this opportunity. Yes, I'm kind of a newbie to Huge, but the reason it just resonated with me is because when I went to Fourways Chamber of Commerce, the bottom line was always how much income do you get from that? And then I realized that my passion was literally seeing people thrive in their resources and connections and jobs and things. And so I'll explain the premise behind it. So people, planet, and prosperity. So that's why I found so much resonance with it, because the Chamber of Commerce has an incredible, diverse group of people, and they're working on their jobs and creating prosperity. But the people and planet part was the part that was missing for me personally. And so when I met this wonderful team of people, I realized this was a place of belonging for me. So the vision and mission says advancing economic, social, and ecological sustainability across Africa and globally through dynamic partnerships. It's a mindful engagement of resources to foster development of people and planet, creating prosperity for all. So Bev very kindly gave her foundation into Huge. And so Huge is an MPO with a Section 18. And her heart was to develop kibbutz-style living, where people can live in community, learning from each other, but also sharing the resources. So doing the farming, the water, renewable energy, and all of that, which she'd already done for years when she became part of Huge and is now the vice chairman. Mark McClue is the chairman, and he is traveling up through Africa, looking at the needs of people being related to water and youth, and learning from a diverse amount of people what their different projects are doing. And then we have Sinette as our treasurer, make sure we still have our finances coming in to do our different projects. And we have Percy, you'll see him in a different slide later, and he does the outreach part. So he goes into communities, sees what they're working on, and through innovative ways, he's actually, when I met him, he was feeding 300 people a day just through networking of different MPOs in the area. And then we recently invited Devi Muhammad to be a part of us, and she does the marketing arm of Huge. So I chose this slide because this was a wonderful event we did in Alexander, where Mark introduced me to an arm of what Armour was already doing in Alex, where they have 250 people on a weekly basis gathering at the XK River, cleaning it. Every single week, people volunteered to clean. And the one time that we were there, these boys joined us. And as you can see, they'd made their own little skateboards. They'd taken plywood and roller skates. And I was so impressed how these boys were skating. And then I met Karabo, excuse me, and he was making his own hand designed t-shirts, sewing them by hand, very, very unique designs. And the gentleman behind me, his name is Linda, he's making his own shoes. So he'll take a shoe and undo it and teach himself how to make it and then form his own shoes. So, and he's making them out of incredible different kinds of fabrics with designs and logos. And so this is just an ongoing project where they do market days there. People bring their own produce, they bring their food, their clothing, their artwork, their arts. We do drama there, we do dance, singing, poetry, and just give back to the community. But we learn so much from them because there's so much innovation that's going on. So that's one of the areas in Alex that we're working on. Another area in Alex, it's called Alexander Arts Academy. So I met this lady, Chantal, and they already have a substantial building. It's really, really nice building, but through mismanagement, it needs a lot of repair. But the potential is incredible. There are big halls where they can do theater productions. There's lecture rooms where they can study. There's even a large kitchen that she wants to convert into, because there's no there's no equipment in the kitchen. It's just a large room. So she wants to change it into a fine arts part of the school that she's building. And I teach at a private school called Crawford, and they've already said that they're willing to donate art material at the end of the year. So whatever the school no longer needs, they're going to be donating to this arts academy in Alex. And so that's part of the huge ethos, is that instead of throwing away things we don't need, let's rather see where we can partner with people and reuse or repurpose things to create a better and joyful community for all. So yeah, so that's some of the projects we would like to do. We're planning on doing a day called Transportation Day, where the children will bring all their things with wheels and things like that. So one of my passions is, because I'm a primary school teacher, is how we can work in education. So we're working in Diepsloot and Alexander and CBD. So this lady, her name is Lungi, she's got something called Safe Studies in the CBD area, and also a lovely facility. They've taken a warehouse and converted it into an sort of aftercare center, but they're only working on Saturdays at the moment. And they have, approximately about up to 200 children on a Saturday, but they've given them different things that they can do. So they can learn an instrument, they can do skating, they learn reading, they learn sewing, they learn crafts, they learn batik, that's special technique with wax and dipping in different colors. They do chess. It's incredible, the resources that she has there. And I recently met another lady from Alex who's working with children with dyslexia. And I went to a spelling bee there, and my heart broke because there were 12-year-old boys who couldn't spell words like hope or nine or time. They had very, very low literacy, as well as maths. They didn't know 10 plus 7. So so it was shocking to me to see how much we can make a difference but how much need there is out there that doesn't need a lot of finances. It just needs people to give up their time. And so I went back to Crawford and I said, please, please, are there any teachers that are willing to give of their time? And quite a few volunteered. They said yes, they would really, and not directly to the children, but actually to the teachers. How can we equip? Because a lot of the teachers that are doing this are volunteers, so they haven't even had teachers training. So we want to do different workshops, and we were thinking of doing it in the CBD area. So we could get the different teachers to come in and train the educators, and then they can go back and take the equipping and the skills that they've learned. And then we met a group called Clothes to Good, which is an incredible group in Centurion. And as Providence has had it, I met this young lady on the bus and we got chatting, and she told me about Clothes to Good. And they take in clothes that people are no longer using, secondhand, or stores that have things that aren't working properly, dysfunctional clothes, whatever. And they make educational toys for children. They make toys out of bottle tops, out of tackies, out of all products like that. They make up to 50 educational toys from repurposed fabrics and materials out there. And then they also start small businesses for people. So when the shops give them clothes that there's just a few changes or things that need to be made in them, then people can come in and they buy bulk, and they can take the clothes that they've bought and sell it back into the communities. So a lot of people are benefiting from this. I introduced Chantel from the Alex Arts Academy to Clothes to Good, and she's been able to buy bulk clothing and go and sell it in Alex and create many businesses in that manner. And so one of the premises of one of the things that Close to Good also works on is people with disabilities, that they help them find jobs, and then they also help the mothers working with children who've got disabilities to give them the skills and the training that they may need. So yeah, I know that if we can change these children's lives, we can make a difference. So Alex Soup Kitchen is what we're working, what was actually how Huge took on a whole different arm, because initially it was in the farming arena and renewable energy. But when we went into the community one winter, I met a lady, Portia, who was working with the children there, but they were just doing small programs with them. And she said to me, but the children are hungry. And so this lady, is a fascinating story about her. I was teaching French, and this is the grandmother of one of the children whose home I was at. And I said to her, and she said to me, I'm a chef at Spa. And I said, oh, do you think you could donate some vegetables? And she said, I'll do one better. I will cook soup for 200 children. And she did that. She kept her promise and she cooked all the soup for the children. And we were able to give them soup. And then I did a singing and dance program with the children afterwards. And it made a major impact. And then we were actually kindly, Helen and Jasper allowed us to host 30 young people from Alex that came and did a media and motion event where we trained them in the things in arts and drama, so singing, dance, music, and drama. And they were so inspired that they went back to Chosen Generation. That's where we started the soup kitchen. So these young people, they were ages 16 to 24, went back into their community, and they, out of their own, what they learned in one day, they started teaching the younger children. And then they initiated doing an aftercare. So these teenagers would come home from school, do their homework, and then go and work with the children in the community to help them with their homework. So the ripple effect of Huge has been beautiful to see, because it's about networking across all these communities and inspiring people to make a difference. So the one jumping the highest there, that's Percy. And he did a fun run through Diepsloot. And so we started at Ikemeleng. So Ikemeleng means stand up for yourself, which I think is a brilliant name. So Percy said, yes, we ourselves can make a difference. So when COVID started, he went around the community and he collected the food packs, and he got 2 hot plates and borrowed a gas cylinder and started cooking. And within that week, he and a team of 4 or 5 were feeding 100 people a day. Within 2 weeks, they were feeding 300 people a day. And so now he has 21 volunteers that come every single day and cook a meal, predominantly children and women and the disabled and elderly, meals for them on a daily basis. They don't do a Saturday and a Sunday, but every few months he does a very special project on a holiday event. They do Mandela Day, Heritage Day, or this fun run. And when I met them on Mandela Day, the children were lined up in both directions all the way down the street. And not only did they have soup and food for every child, but they had set up little stations where 10 children at a time could come in and they could paint something, they could read a book, they could sing a song, they could jump on a trampoline, they could play a water game. And there were these little stations for every child, 10 at a time. And they rotated and then let the children go out. And I was so moved, and I always am whenever I'm there, because they're just so giving. I'm sorry. And they've just seen so much fruit and change in their community, and they just keep going no matter what obstacles they have to overcome. So this is how David and I first met, was at Chartwell, and he saw these bags that Kuda and her team were making. And so most of it is all repurposed. So the bags are made from banners. So you can take like a banner from an ad or things like that. And people gave her loads of those. And then people give of their chips and their chocolates, and they can make satchels, coin purses, pencil cases. And so I love my bag. I have 2. And when it rains, I never worry. It is so water resistant. And she's so efficient. She's made all these products, so much so that Americans came here on a visit, and they took a large box home of about 10 of each, because it's so different and so innovative. And then we can go into different private schools. We teach them different workshops on how to, they would stick the chip packet and chocolate thing down on the thing presented to them. So if they want to make the pencil case or the coin purse, then they will just stick down onto the canvas, and then she'll make the coin purse or pencil case for them and then bring it back to the school. So she's willing to go to schools and present her projects to any school that's keen to learn and make and be part of the recycling, repurposing plan. The reason I chose this image, this is not where Huge has been, but this is where Huge is going. So that's our plan, is to make it accessible, that all the resources people need to be self-sustainable, that we can get off the grid with electricity, with water, with farming, and build community together. So one of the projects that I've been involved in since 2009 is in Westbury, where a lady does an aftercare with 80 children. And Westbury is known for high crime and drug cartels and gangsterism. And so it's a little bit of light for these children to go to a place where they help them with the homework and give them the resources they need to get out of the dire circumstances that they're living in. And we did a visit there, and in one of the reservoirs, Vernon said he was going to change it into a little internet cafe. And Mark said, no, rather fix it as a reservoir and fill it up with water, because that's going to be essential. And so 2 weeks ago, I went back to Westbury, and interesting enough, they had found a dormant borehole that had been there for 20 years. And by using a pump that needed to be repaired, they were able to unlock the borehole and start up the water again. And they have waterproofed the reservoir, and they have enough water now that to take care of the children there, but also to start their own gardening project. So they've taken the back part of it's a bowling green that was given to them, and the back area they have started an entire vegetable and fruit garden that I know will impact them as well as the community. And then Vernon and Rhoda and others who work there, they do drug prevention programs with the youth every single Saturday, and they get ex-gangsters to come and tell them how to change their lives and make better choices in life. And so Vernon has started doing a flea market once a month. And he learned this from being a part of Huge, because on our Huge WhatsApp, we put up all the different projects and places we're going and what we're experiencing. And Rhoda told me the last market was amazing. How many people bought their food, their music, their creativity. And so that's what we're enjoying about Huge, is identifying the strengths of a community and then taking it to another community and teaching them those skills. So this is actually a picture I found from a place in America, but the reason I chose it is because that's where we want to go. We want to create a safe haven for everybody, where people can come and work together in community gardens, in creating places of safety, resources, connections, networking, so that we can all take hands and just make a beautiful difference in South Africa.
All right. Thank you very much, Lisa. That was a mouthful, and I know you have more to share, but I think to think that all of your group, and you've mentioned quite a few names there. So, Bev, I don't know if you want to come in and just maybe add a couple of things that you also feel that's necessary we need to know about your group.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, as much as Huge has taken on a whole different dimension to when in the very, very early days was called the Bleeding Heart Brigade, because we had such different outlooks and how we were all connected at the same time. It has journeyed in more into communities and into projects and identifying like-mindedness and a synergy, which has really exploded. I think for the next season or two, what we'd like to do is grow the awareness of the group, also to motivate the MPO to move into the sphere that we'd like to see it go. And then to add some flesh to the bones to make the projects that are currently connected with us, to take them to the next level, to be their support base, and to basically motivate them to not give up, but to keep going. So from our side, I think I've been involved with Huge now for 5 years, and I can honestly see that it has grown from strength to strength. Thanks, Jasper.